Hello! Welcome back! Welcome back. We're really energetic people and we're going to enjoy our energetic review from these middle-aged people who are too old to be doing YouTube videos. So we're doing Pride and Glory. I would assume most people will be going, what's that? I would guess. A couple of months ago we did No More Tears, an Aussie album, which some people probably haven't even heard of. But it's actually one of Aussie's biggest selling album, apart from maybe his first one, I don't know. And that featured Zakk Wylde. This is his solo album, Zakk Wylde's solo album, following that. And it's a wonderful mix of Sabbathy dirges, think, Into the Void, dun, 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 stuff, and Leonard Skinner's country foreign bluesy stuff, with banjo as well, that kind of stuff. Wonderful sound, production, really heavy, dirgy, very long, too long. I think it's 70 minutes because it's from that era of just fill the CD with songs. I think it's 2 albums. You can make 2 albums out of that. 2 short albums, really. But there's no filler. The order of the songs is a bit random. It's like maybe the first 4 or 5 songs fit a structure and then it's just some songs after that, which is a shame because it's really good. I mean, these are great songs. And the weird thing is, of course, this was something I listened to years and years ago when this was new, 1994, and No More Tears at the time I saw as this masterful piece of commercial rock. Now it seems really 80s and kind of boring, actually, most of it. And so this was like another great thing from that. But I never would have thought, this is so much better than No More Tears. This is still fantastic. This has aged great. It's a great album. Meanwhile, Ozzy was trying to make an album with Steve Vai, actually. Should we do Steve Vai next week? Tell us.
Ooh.
Yeah, go.
My turn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put this album on, skip to any track and you think, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's rocky. There's a little bit of hillbilly stuff going on there. Ooh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And, we're in sort of, this is a few years after the Black Album sort of thing.
Yeah, it's that era.
And it's sort of heavy, really heavy. Camera over box.
Camera dog collision.
Good girl. You stay there.
That's our guard dog. It's the Wenton guard dog.
And I'd never heard of it. Obviously I'd heard of Zakk Wylde and I thought, yeah, Kev's going to like this because, guitarist, isn't he? He does the heavy thing and he does it really, really well. But the issue is, I couldn't listen to more than 3 songs at a time because it just gets really, really boring.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same, all the way through. And there's 14 songs.
Yeah. That's the thing, it's 2 albums, 2 short albums he could have done. And they'd be brilliant, and you can put them in a structure, an order of an album, rather than just songs and songs and songs and songs and songs and songs. And every song is like, wow, that's good.
So yeah, that is its major failing actually. I think probably the issue, what it shows is that Zakk Wylde has got a great ear for music.
Yeah. He
can make good rock, but maybe he needs that little bit of focus to say, actually, this is, to tell him what the album's about more than anything else. Otherwise, it just sounds like a collection of good rock songs.
Yes. Yeah.
All I can say, really.
Yeah, and it does suggest, if there's something good about them, what is good about No More Tears, that's not the sort of very bland stuff, does seem to come from Zakk Wylde. That's very much the impression, because it's fantastic. You said the era of the Black Album, and it's the heavy time, and this is heavy, but I do think that obviously the heaviness here is the Sabbathy, dirgy, single note, vibrato stuff, not the of the Metallica-iness. And actually, this was not a hit. It was just the wrong time. It's a terrible time for rock music, really. No More Tears marked really the end of an era when rock music had got too commercial, really, and the latest trendsetters sort of exploited that and presented all rock music is like poison, isn't it? So it's terrible. So let's change it. So 94 was a horrible time for rock music. It wasn't a horrible time for music. There was good stuff. There was Prodigy. I think Jilted Generation is like 92 or 93, maybe. How many times can he play that bit from Voodoo Child? It turns out it never gets old. It's wonderful.
Isn't one of his children called Hendrix or something like that?
I don't know. I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
think I read that somewhere this week.
It's about 4 licks. But they're brilliant and we don't care, we just like to hear more of them. But yeah, I think, it's because he's doing what he loves. There's no sense of commercialism, and obviously what happened later is great as well. But obviously you can tell that there he's got his finger on the pulse a bit more, right? Probably because of Ozfests and stuff. He knows these are the bands the fans like, so I'll have to do a bit more like that. Which is a shame, because I think this is better. I would assume most people won't agree with that. And the country thing won't appeal to everyone. I mean, you have to remember, really, you talk about grunge and stuff going boring and fashionable and all that, but really what really happened was hip-hop had gone mainstream in the very early 90s. Hip-hop had been around since the 70s, really, but had actually gone properly, the kids, that's what the kids listen to, that's what's being marketed at them, and still is. And what was happening in rock music was kind of irrelevant to the kids, really. And in the end, when rock music came back, it's seen as the more discerning stuff. For a teenager, it's the more discerning stuff. He's going to go to download or something like that, rather than listen to Kanye West or something. I couldn't tell you anything about Kanye West. I couldn't tell you any songs at all, to be honest. I have no idea about that. So I'm not slagging him off. He does seem like an idiot, though. Great tour. He played Donington with same bill as Pantera and Sepultura on the same bill. So that was great. I recorded it off the radio. I think it was Kiss was headlining, but I don't think I actually listened to Kiss. And I saw him supporting Whitesnake on tour. Whitesnake were awful. I might have mentioned this before, but it was a horrible. 1994, Wolverhampton, and the sound was so loud. Loudest concert I've ever been to in not a massive hall. And I remember all you could hear was. I remember seeing his mouth move. Couldn't hear it. And if I ever got permanent ear damage from a concert, it was that one. They've improved the sound there now, but it used to be terrible, and that was the worst one. But he played War Pigs, which was already kind of his party piece in Aussie. That was he'd sort of taken ownership of it. His solo of War Pigs is a thing. I think he played Voodoo Child as well. And I think a Leonard Skinner song, which at the time I wouldn't have known, I think. My memory may be faulty here, but he definitely did War Pigs, because I knew that well at the time. And I've also got a memory of him playing Voodoo Child with Slash. That might not have been Donington, it might have been like maybe a Gibson anniversary show or something. It's all lost in the mist of time. Sadly, I didn't check, so sorry. He did a TV show. There was a very, very late night thing on ITV. I mean, like 3 o'clock in the morning, called Noisy Mothers, which was the metal show. And at the time, it was sort of been relegated and thought, well, that's out of fashion now. No one listens to that. It was the dark years, but it was a great show actually. And he presented one of them, him and his band, and they're very funny. And he still does this. He does little skits and things on YouTube. He's a very funny guy. You can see why he gets on with Ozzy so well. He's one of the very few people, you think about it, to get on with Ozzy so well and not fall out with him and Sharon and all that, which is interesting. But I think he was the first one who was a fan. That's the thing. So, Jake E. Lee wasn't a fan. Randy Rhoads wasn't a fan of Sabbath at all. And the other reason I think is Pride and Glory are the band of beers. See there's even a T-shirt that says Pride and Glory, the band of beers, which is great. I think he may have played with a beer bottle slide. I may have made that up as well, but possibly. And of course now I think he had some health problems recently actually with drinking, so that might have all changed. But at the time, obviously, it was very funny that he was always drunk, and he sounds drunk. I love his voice. It's like Hendrix in that I'm sure he doesn't think of himself as being a good singer, and I'm sure technically, obviously, he isn't, but it just sounds great. And he sounds drunk, doesn't he? It's that kind of thing. It's great. They opened the shows with Toe the Line, which is track 11. And it's this huge, epic, fantastic thing that starts with this cowbell thing, and it's got all this slow bit, and it's like the centrepiece track on the album, but it's just lost in the middle of the album because there's so many tracks. Which is a shame, because that's a really good one. It's drop D tuning, so it's proper Sabbathy stuff. My memory is that he just tuned the guitar over the PA rather than changing guitars. I think, again, my memory is hazy. I don't remember. Other songs? Any particular songs that stuck out? It must have been difficult in a week.
It was difficult because they were all merging in one. I remember, it was normally, I'll put the album on and whatever track was playing, I think that's good. So Shine On, Harvester of Pain, that sort of thing. That's not a song title, by the way. Trouble Wine.
Yeah, I like Trouble.
It's just all sort of good stuff. What he needs, essentially, is a lyricist with a bit of imagination.
Well,
I think it would have gone mental.
I think a proper producer. I suspect the producer was more of an engineer who just recorded it. He needs someone to say, there's too many songs there.
Yeah, don't do this.
Yeah, sort it out, put it in this order. Maybe expand this song, or maybe. And yet I find it very difficult to criticise any arrangements or anything like that because it's all so great. It is really good.
This is what I was sort of getting my head in. The Black Album had sold shed loads. Now this sounds better than the Black Album. Now the Black Album sounds good, yeah.
Yeah.
This sounds better, and it sounds more accessible than the Black Album. The Black Album is quite heavy for someone who's not.
Yes. This will be more accessible.
This will be more accessible. What the Black Album's got over this is probably slightly more interesting subject matter in individual songs.
Oh yeah, well, they've got the lyrical thing they do, haven't they? Yeah.
I actually think that's probably Metallica's strongest point. You look at the individuals. Actually, you look at Sad But True, it's actually quite an interesting song.
It's really good. Yeah. That's probably one of the very best. That's as good as Master of Puppets or anything.
Yeah. So, with a little bit more imagination, I think they could have gone all the way. Because they're typically American. Metallica have got that American thing as well.
Yeah, had he done that in the mid-80s, mid-70s, mid-00s, it'd have been huge. Yeah. Just the wrong time. Yeah. Such a shame because it's great. And the thing about crunchy, I like crunchy. I think Metallica is crunchy. This isn't crunchy, this is dodgy. But I meant country. Country, people say, oh, I don't like country. Most country I actually do like. I think it's the songy end of country I don't like. It's just boring. Or melodically it doesn't interest me or whatever it is. But I love bluegrass, and this led me into that. This led me to Dixie Dregs, and Steve Morse and all that stuff. So it's also got humour as well. It's quite funny, some of it. Particularly, obviously, the last track is overtly funny. Hate Your Guts is just great. But that's the thing. Most people probably wouldn't get through the whole album because there's so much of it. They might even let's hear that song. It's such a shame. Yeah, because it's too long. So yeah, he did. I think it was a bit of a flop. And it's just the time. The timing with '94 is just the wrong year. Probably the worst year to start a solo career. You think like Ozzy's previous guitarist, Jakey Lee, he did Badlands. He had a bit of success, and it was just very bland, neo-zep, poodle rock stuff. Good singer, but not anything I would listen to. I wouldn't even, I've listened to them on YouTube and not even finished a song. Some people might think, how dare you? They're brilliant, but it's the 80s thing, isn't it? And whereas this is just great. Then it's Skinner meets Sabbath, meets Hendrix. You can't go wrong with that. So yeah, it was a few years later he did another album because he did leave Ozzy at this point. And I think because he was offered the job in Guns N' Roses to replace Slash, which of course never happened. I'm not quite sure of the timeline of that. And he couldn't decide, basically. So Ozzy said, I'm going to make a decision for you. It's best for, Zakk's been in his band for these many years, so Ozzy said, well, it's time to get a new guitarist. Which didn't work out in the end. He tried to do an album with Steve Vai and he failed, and then he tried to do an album with... Well, he did do an album. Joe Holmes was the next guitarist, although he's not on Osmosis, actually. The next Ozzy album, Zakk is back on board, but didn't do the tour. And he got Joe Holmes, who was a bit crap. And I saw Joe Holmes at the same venue, actually, in '95. And he was measurably not good enough, I thought, in my opinion. I remember he kind of blew it with Mr. Crowley. The fast bit wasn't quite very good. It's just one performance, isn't it? But still, I wasn't very impressed. So in the end, Zakk was back with Ozzy, actually, and the Guns N' Roses thing was Guns N' Roses, so it was never going to happen. But he did do a solo album. So the next album was just called Zakk Wylde, because Pride and Glory, it doesn't say Zakk Wylde on it. What he needed was a picture of himself on the front, because his image was the thing, with the Les Paul with the circles on it, the white one, and his legs apart or something. So people will recognise him and say, Zakk Wylde. But he didn't, it just says Pride and Glory. Well, who's that? It's southern rock, it's got cows on it. And that wasn't a hit either, and that was a bit. It's okay, there's some good songs in it, but I got the impression he'd lost the faith a bit. And he was saying weird things in interviews about, I don't think people want to hear guitar solos anymore, that kind of thing. And obviously he'd lost the faith a bit. And there were songs with guitar solos sellotaped on, and so nowhere near as good. But of course, then eventually he formed Black Label Society, which is perfect for the resurgent metal touring festival circuit and all that, and they're still going, and that's great. Not as good as this, though. Have we talked for a while? Is that long enough?
Yeah, it's quite long actually, Kev.
Really?
Yeah, you're really excited about this album.
This is great, yeah. Okay, so yeah. I was actually I thought it was quite funny in my mind. I was going to give it 6 eggs, but I'm not going to give it 6 eggs. It's 5 eggs. Easily a 5 egg album because it's great.
I'll be honest with you, I mean, the individual songs are quite good, but I'm going to give it 3 eggs, Kev.
3? Goodness.
Because it just gets boring very, very quickly.
Is it because it's not an album?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to invest time in it, and then you get quite excited when you switch it on. You're like, oh, this is good, and then before you know it, you're doing something else. You're reading a book, or
it's still going. It's only 3 songs in.
Yeah.
We've got another 15 songs to go.
I'll turn that off. But you know, there's potential there.
Yeah.
I can't give it now. I'm going to give it 4.
4. Because
I'm sure I gave Bruce Dickinson at least 3 eggs.
Yeah. You didn't like that at all?
No.
Yeah. Same year as Balls to Picasso.
No way.
Yeah. This is the better album than Balls to Picasso. Balls to Picasso probably had more effect on me personally about the guitar on that, the style of it and all that stuff. But this is just better music. You enjoy listening to it more, and the songs are
I'm
better.
surprised it doesn't get a lot of radio play actually, because you can pick a song out and it'll be...
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's just the wrong time. This is the way it goes. Great. Right, so next week, what do we do? And don't give us loads of suggestions of different bands, don't do that. Faith No More was another one. I was having a listen to Faith No More actually. We might do. Well, I think we'll only do one of those albums though, so not yet. I don't think we would do more than one. There won't be that much to say, and that relates to this time as well, because you know they were one of the bands that might have been, you know, Metallica and Guns N' Roses and Chili Peppers. They were kind of the other one actually. So they didn't soar, although they were really good. Commercially, they didn't have the ridiculous Metallica-ness. But yeah, I think Steve Vai. Should we do Steve Vai? Tell us. Next week. Goodbye.